We're going to be talking about lesson 11.5, adding and subtracting radicals. This is actually a fairly easy lesson. There are two simple steps. Number one is you always simplify first, like we talked about in the last section. And then after you have made sure everything is completely simplified, then you add like terms. Just like you would add like terms if I had, for example, 2x plus 3x plus y. So remember, these have the same variables, so I add the number in front, leave the variable the same. If the variables aren't the same, then I leave it. I'm doing the exact same thing with this, but instead of variables, I'm using the square root. So they have to have the same square root, and they have to have the same index if they have an index. So first step is simplify. This and this are already simplified. Then I just add like terms. These have the same square root. So I add the numbers in front. 4 plus 2 is 6. And I leave the square root the same, just like if I'm adding like terms. So that is very simple. This one I have to simplify first. So 45 is going to be 9 square root of 3 square root of 3. And then 5. Remember, every 2, if it's a square root, every 2 I pull out 1. So this is going to be 3 square root of 5. Here I have 18, which is a 9 and 2, so I have square root of 3, square root of 3, and square root of 2. Every 2 I pull out 1, so I have 3 square root of 2. Next, I have square root of 5. I can't simplify that. Remember, if there's nothing in front, I put a 1 in front, so I'm going to put a 1 here. This is not like this, so I cannot add them. This and this are like this. They both have the square root of 5. I add the numbers in front. 3 and negative 1 makes 2. I leave the square root of 5 the same. And then I add 3 square root of 2. Since they are not like, I cannot add them, so I just leave it as 2 square root of 5 plus 3 square root of 2. So simplify first, then add like radicals, adding the numbers outside. They're not like, leave them as an addition problem. Same thing here. This is already simplified. I can't simplify that anymore. For 40, that's going to be 8, which is 2, 2, 2, and 5. This is a cubed root. So remember, for cubed roots, every 3 I pull out 1. I have 3 2s, so I pull out that 2. Since I already have the 9 there, I'm going to multiply 2 times 9. That's going to give me 18, and I'm left with the cubed root of 5. 135. I can do my factor tree. So I have 3 3s, so I can pull that out. I already have a 2 on the outside, so that's 6, and then I'm left with the cubed root of 5. I have cubed root of 5, cubed root of 5, and cubed root of 5. All 3 of those have the same inside and the same index. So I add the numbers on the outside. Negative 8 plus 18 is 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. I leave this the same. So my answer is 4 cubed root of 5. Now I have variables. So just like when we simplified before, we're still simplifying the same with the variables. So 50 is going to be the square root of 5. The square root of 5, and the square root of 2, and then the square root of x. Every 2 I pull out 1, so that's going to be 5. 5 times 2x is 10x, and then I'm left with a 2 and an x inside. 8x cubed, I have 3 2's and 3 x's. Every 2 I pull out 1, so I have negative 10x, and then I'm left with 2x on the inside. I have 2x here and 2x here. 10x minus 10x is 0. 0 times anything is still just 0, so my answer is 0. It's not the square root of 2x. It's not 0 to the square root of 2x. It's 0, because 0 times anything is 0. Very important. Simplify this. I have 2 x's, so I can pull 1 x out, and I'm left with the square root of 2. I have 4 x's, so I can pull 2 x's out, so I have x squared. 75 is going to be 5 times 5 and times 3. So I can pull out a 5, and then I'm left with just a 3 inside. Here, I can't simplify that anymore. And then this is going to be 2, 3, and 3. So I can pull out a 3, and I get 3x with a 2 inside. Now I look for like terms. This is square root of 2. This is square root of 2. So these are like terms. So I add the numbers in front. X minus 3x is going to be negative 2x, and I leave the square root the same. I'll cross those out to show I've done those. These are also like terms. 5x squared negative 2x squared is going to give me 3x squared. Leave that inside. So my answer is negative 2 squared x squared root of 2 plus 3x squared square root of 3. All right, just one last thing before we finish up here. If you notice, for numbers 13, 14, and 15, they have a little chart, and I just want to make sure you understood that. So I'm going to do number 15 for you. So they give you x and y, and then the third blank is what the square root of x is. So obviously that's going to be the square root of 45. So whatever x is here, I want to do the square root of that for this blank here. That's going to be 3, 3, and 5, so that's going to be 3 square root of 5. The square root of y is going to be the square root of 75, which is going to be 5, 5, and 3, so that is 5 square root of 3 for the square root of y. Now I have the square root of x plus the square root of y. Well, I know this is the square root of x and this is the square root of y, so I have 3 square root of 5 plus 5 square root of 3. And I can't add those because those are not like terms, so I'm going to leave it like that. Then I have the square root of x plus y. So x is 45, y is 75. Remember, if they're inside, I have to add inside. So if I have a square root plus a square root, I simplify, and then if I can add like terms, I add them. If I can't, then I have to just leave it. But if my numbers are inside, I have to add inside first and then simplify or solve. So I'm going to do 45 plus 75. That's going to be 120. Then I'm going to do the square root of 120. I'm going to simplify that. So 120, that's going to be 260, 230, 215, 5, and 3. So I have 2 2's. I could pull that out. And then I multiply everything I have left, which is going to be 30. So I have 2 square root of 30. So notice I do not get the same answer when I do the square root of x plus the square root of y. That's 3 square root of 5 plus 5 square root of 3. Then the square root of x plus y with them both inside. That's 2 square root of 30. So that's the way you do number 14. Hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions.